An emotional new message from the National Rifle Association is getting attention today, just as we see a new gun control message from a political action group on the other side. That group that used to run the president's campaign that's now pushing his policy agenda, and they are supporting the president's call for new gun control legislation. First, the NRA.
In a recent closed-door speech to donors, politicians, and media, Bill Clinton spoke about American gun owners. Quote, a lot of these people, all they've got is their hunting and their fishing, or they've been listening to this stuff for so long that they believe it all, unquote. And we all remember Barack Obama's 2008 comments to a room of San Francisco elites. Quote, it's not surprising then they get bitter. They cling to guns or religion, unquote. The arrogance of their superiority requires this reminder. They don't rule us. They don't give us rights. We grant them power. They don't make us safe. We pay to protect them. They don't make us free. We're free already. And as long as we have the Second Amendment, we always will be. We are America, and our politicians are only as powerful as we, the people, allow them to be.
Meantime, the group Organizing for Action, used to be Organizing for America, when they were pushing for President Obama's re-election, is launching an online ad campaign focusing on members of Congress who have not publicly committed to supporting background checks. And you can see it's not an ad, it's sort of these full screen pictures. So you can see there's one that tell this congressman it's time to close background check loopholes, and that's their focus in this ad. So who's really winning this message war so far? Marjorie Clifton is a former consultant to the Obama campaign and principal of Clifton Consulting. Mike Gallagher is a syndicated radio host and a Fox News contributor. So, the NRA ad is obviously powerful because it's got the music and it's got the, our liberties and in comparison to an online, But the background check issue, Marjorie, has 90% support among the American people. So I don't know that they need as many bells and whistles to persuade people. Nonetheless, they need to persuade lawmakers or it's not going to happen.
Right. And I think what this ad does and what's dangerous about the NRA ad is it sort of reminds me of an epic movie trailer for a war film. And the thing is, it's not a war. What we need to do and what's not doing a disservice to all of us is creating this as a bipartisan issue. Because as you stated, 90% of Americans actually support the idea of doing background checks on people who are gun owners. And what the debate has become is they're trying to take our guns away or, we want to keep our guns. And the reality is that's not the debate at all. It's about coming up with responsible policies that allow people to still go hunting and have their guns to do so, but also to make sure that there aren't people who are certifiably mentally ill running around with semi-automatic weapons that put us at risk in ways they did this year in shopping malls and elementary schools. And so I think that's what we need to do.
The devil's in the detail, Mike, because, the other side gets upset when they hear the president or his supporters talk about what you need and always fall back on hunting because they say, I don't have to hunt. I don't need it for hunting. I can sit in my own house and have a gun for self-protection or just because I want to have it because the Constitution says I can.
Well, the rhetoric is very important, Megan, and I noticed that Marjorie couldn't resist right at the outset using the word dangerous in the same sentence with the NRA. There's nothing dangerous about the NRA message. It's a powerful message. Marjorie, come on. There's nothing scary. No. Let me finish, please. There's nothing scary about the NRA's position that Americans get to hold on to their constitutional right to keep and bear arms. Listen, I do think there's a great debate to be had, and there's nothing wrong with talking about expanded background checks, and I've gotten a lot of flack from my conservative colleagues because I think it's time to have that conversation. I'm with the so-called 80 or 90% who say that, it's okay to close some loopholes if there are loopholes that exist. Nobody wants dangerous people to get their hands on guns, but we need the NRA now more than ever. When President Obama enlists his operatives to go after and target congressmen who are Second Amendment friendly, this fight is a tough one. It's a real difficult battle, but I think the left is afraid that they're going to lose this battle. I think Obama thinks he's going to lose it. I don't think they think there's a realistic way that they're going to infringe upon the constitutional rights of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms. And so we need the NRA.
And let me be clear about when I say dangerous. I'm not pointing that at NRA, and I'm not pointing that at any particular advocacy group. I'm pointing that at anyone who is politicizing this discussion.
Come on, both sides are doing that.
Like the political,
absolutely.
Like
No, that's what I mean.
Group?
They're both guilty of that. They always do. I mean, our viewers are sick of these Washington politicians who are always politicize that. But wait, I want to ask you something, Marjorie, on a larger point. The piece of the ad that jumped out at me on the NRA ad is something that we hear a lot from conservative blogs and more conservative viewers, and it was the part where they talk about the arrogance of their superiority requires this reminder. They don't own us. They don't give us rights. We grant them power. They don't make us safe. We pay to protect them. They don't make us free. We're free already. The NRA is trying to take this into a much more fundamental place of this is about government infringement on your liberties, and that is a theme that some believe has resonated in areas beyond gun control.
Yeah, and I think that's an important part of how this is becoming politicized. But we have to think about in our country what our overall values are. Freedom is absolutely one of them. Safety and protection is also part of those values. And I think that's where the discussion of how do we create a rule of laws and a rule of order, because when we look at our country, for example, when you go to get your driver's license, you can't be epileptic or you can't have vision problems because that endangers other Americans by you being on the road. In the same way that if we have a mentally ill gun owner, that puts other Americans in danger. So I think it's not about taking away rights, it's about creating protections and maintaining still independence, but also safety.
And you can get a driver's license with vision problems.
Yeah.
You just have to have your contact lenses
limited. You can't be blind, though, right? Exactly.
Right. You have to be able to correct it. Otherwise, I would never be driving. Go ahead, Mike.
But to your point, Megan, it's an important one. A lot of the anti-gun crowd can't resist using the phrase or the parameters, do you really need? You know, and Americans resent the heck out of being told by a politician what they think we need or don't need. Listen, guys, I'm sorry, this is the silly season. We've got Vice President Biden literally advising people to go buy a shotgun and fire it in the air outside your back door, and that'll scare off the burglars. Now, that's not just crazy Joe spouting off. President Obama has enlisted Vice President Biden to head up productive ways to battle this particular issue. Are you kidding me? We got crazy Uncle Joe Biden, the guy who comes over for Thanksgiving dinner and rambles incoherently, in charge of advancing this problem. So, or this conflict between gun owners and the gun grabbers. So this is the silly season.
You know, some Delaware lawyer came out and said what the vice president advised is illegal.
It is.
And you can't. You know,
you can't fire
they're talking about
the
their house in Delaware. He said you can't do it. Quickly, Marjorie, and I got to go.
Well, I think it's highlighting the many ironies that exist here, in the same way that I find it ironic that we'd let someone out of prison and be mentally ill running the streets also with a semi-automatic weapon that's designed only to kill people. So I think, you know, the key is we've got to highlight what the inconsistencies are and quit polarizing the issue.
You know, it's like you mentioned the mentally ill, and it's like, oh, yeah, oh, wait, what about the mentally ill? Wait a minute, where did that discussion go? All right, listen, great debate.
True.
Thank you both so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.